Welcome back, everybody. This is the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of the main event scenario. The game is Unconditional Surrender, published by GMT Games, designed by Salvatore Vasta. We are going to be picking up with the second half of the September 1941 turn after the German onslaught in the east. In the past video, you will have seen an insert that redid a combat around Kharkov. I miscounted. The Germans should have had extra +2s in their combat die rolls, and they would have ended up taking Kharkov. So that was retconned because it was such a gross error, and it just seemed the right thing to do. Because if I'd been going slow enough, I would have remembered to add the 2, and then I wouldn't have had the problem. Again, rushing myself trying to make time for the videos, I need to just slow down and deal with the fact that they're going to be longer. We'll be starting with the operations phase in the west. The British have 16 production points. They're going to try to retreat the 4th garrison here, which will isolate the Africa Army, and then hopefully between the Western Desert Force and the BEF, they'll have enough attacks with the isolated bonus to actually reduce and kill the army. I can't imagine that I can roll that well that long for the Germans. But we'll see how bad it is, see how fast they die. So I'll bring up the national tracks here. The British spend 2 to activate the Western Desert Force. In the faction cards, the only one who has anything to play is the Italians. There's no airplanes available, and the British had used their tanks marker in a defense against the Africa Corps. Africa Army, I guess it is. It's not the Corps. Anyway, they attack the 4th garrison. 4th garrison normally starts out at -2. Throws in its tanks marker, which makes it a 0. And the British are just a +1. So it's a +1 to a 0 with the Italians. So we see what we roll. The British roll, oh boy, a 1 + 1 is a 2. What do the Italians roll? A 4. This could be... Well, what do you know? The Italians have held a 2 to a 4 on the defense is an AS. My. Things have changed. The Italian garrison held. I do not believe that, but okay. Bad die rolls are bad die rolls, right? Okay, that's an attacker stop, so the Western Desert Force can't do anything else. Attacking at +1 to +2 with the BEF. I think I'm just going to save my points, clear my sorties, and see what I can do here. My goodness, that's disconcerting in general. Means the Africa Corps can try and bust out again next turn. Okay, that ends the Western Operations actions phase. They really don't have anything else to do. They do have 14 left, so they'll be able to do some serious fixing of sorties, like this fleet sitting here at 5. They'll do their standard +2, and here +2. That keeps Western Desert Force, 9th, BEF, and the airplane all in supply, which is kind of important because I'm going to need them to fight this battle here. And that's the Western Operations phase. Oh, I know what I should have looked at. No, they're only at 4. They'd be at 5. They're not worth moving to Malta yet. Got to be at least at 2, preferably fresh. So that's it. We go to the Soviets. Soviets basically have to shore up a defense line for bad weather. We don't want the Germans just running around grabbing stuff. I could try to keep the 9th from being isolated up here and going into low supply by moving into 2549 and then moving another infantry unit into Bryansk. I'd have 3 units sort of in a line there going into bad weather, and I really don't have the infantry to string along to everything else. I could bring the Moscow infantry south. Part of me wants to do it, and part of me says don't. Let's go look at the north. Well, this one has to be done, because I want to keep that guy for sure. I want to keep the step-down 3rd Army from... I want to be able to do a replacement on him. So the 7th is going to move. That's 1 for the Russians. And he's going to move into 1840... You know what? I'm going to zoom in here because it's getting hard for me to read. 1847. And just... That now gives me a 2-hex range to the rail line, which gets me supplied. Which allows me to replace him, and then the Germans... in poor weather, we'll have much harder time doing anything about that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus a -1 to a +4. Is that even worth trying? I don't think so. Bad tanks markers, maybe. So I can put something out of reserve, and I can move the Moscow infantry. The question is do I want to try and hold this stuff? Well, I think I activate him and go across the river for 2, 3, 4 into that nice defensible hex. And I will move the Rostov infantry 1, 2 to that nice defensible hex. That's 2 more. Down to 15. The Bryansk pocket is the real question here. I definitely have to move someone here to keep him from going around the corner. I'm going to build an infantry unit here. I better check my faction card real quick. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 infantry to build. So I'm going to make sure I leave at least 7. Probably 3, 6. I want to leave 13. I want to get my airplanes back. Which means I really don't have a lot of movement I can do. I can basically move 2 more units. So with that in mind, wanting to get all my infantry built and my 2 airplanes on the board up to 4 sorties, I'm going to activate the 10th Army for another one. He's going to leave Moscow and go down the rail line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to Bryansk. And I'm going to activate the 51st, and I'm going to move him to here, 2049, outside of Reserve. Don't know if that's the best move. Having lost Sevastopol, I have no idea what to do here. Just trying to hang on to whatever I can. And that would be another one, and like I said, that would be 3 and 6 for the 2 airplanes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 infantry. So that would be my 13. So I'm going to stop here with the Russians. Everybody's in supply except for this dude. He has to place a supply marker. So he'll probably die in the ensuing assault phase of the next turn, but there's not a lot I could do about that. I'd have to either give up some infantry or my aircraft. And I'd really like to try to get ahead of the Germans on the aircraft thing, because they have 5 left. So they can only do 1 airplane down here. If I can get 2 of mine, then I will start to outnumber him in sorties, which can be important when we get into poor weather. The +1 for the Russians is far more important than the +1 for the Germans in most attacks. And that's that. You'll notice the willpower of the Russians is at 44. I went back and I counted, and it really is 44. I did a count. I actually captured total cities that made him lose willpower of 17 cities. That's minus 34 willpower, and 19 units I've killed over the 4 turns of clear weather that I had. It was a fighting withdrawal for the Russians. They just didn't run. They actually tried to slow me down in places and lost units to do it, but they've managed. At the end of this turn, they're going to have all but 2 of the armies that that they can possibly have on the board will be on the board, and it's something like 28, or I think it's like 28 armies total. I haven't done a check on their total number of armies. But they have like 28 infantry armies, and they will have like 26 of them on the board, or something like that. So they're actually going to outnumber the Germans on the Russian front going into the poor weather turns. That then is the Russians' operation phase. There's nobody with a no supply marker on them. The replacements phase, Axis will do this one for 3. It's the Germans. Do they have... do they have a flipped unit somewhere? I thought I had a flipped infantry unit someplace. Yeah, it's in Munich, so I'll go ahead and flip him since I only have 2 points left and not a lot to spend it on. That puts the Germans down to 1. The Italians were at 10, so they've got to do this for 3. And then, much as I would like to... oh man, I've got to bring up the airplane, because the British are going to bring up theirs, you know that. So, and this one. Oops, not the convoy. 4 sorties on that convoy, so yeah, kind of have to do that. Not good. Not good at all for the... so that leaves me with 1 with the Italians. Bada bing, bada boom. And that's the Axis replacements. The British have a ton. They could drop 5, and that would leave them 9. But I think I really want to get this one up. So I think I'm going to do this guy first. So I'm not tempted to... I'd like to get Force H up, but I think I have to go there, and then I need to get my aircraft up, since the Italians rose theirs. And then I need to reset my convoys so I can stay in supply. I have such a ridiculous amount of supply I have to deal with. Should clear all that kind of stuff. And that leaves me with 1 production point, because I did 4 from 14, and then 3, 6, 9. So I have 1 production point left, but I don't have anywhere I can spend it, because I don't have anything on the cards to buy. So, boo. And that's Western. The Russians, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. They're going to get both their airplanes back up. Let's go over to the Russian front here. So they're going to get their airplanes up. They're ahead of the Germans on the aircraft sortie game here. That's one nice thing that the Africa Adventures have done for me. The Germans have been spending a couple points down there, which kind of screws up what they're trying to do here. Going into poor weather, they'll probably be able to save enough points to clear up their aircraft, so this might be my 1 chance to get ahead of them, if at all possible. And there are no upgrades yet. Mobilization, I think the Italians still have a point, and there's an Italian infantry. So yeah, the Italians will go spend their point. Woohoo! And they'll get to build an infantry unit. Somewhere, anywhere. Is that a full infantry? Yeah, it's a full infantry. So let's put him... Where? Where do you put him? Brindisi? Yeah, Brindisi, I guess. For now. And that takes care of them. West doesn't have anything. We'll go to the Soviets. And they should have, if I counted right, they still have 7 points left. Let's get over to Russia front here someplace. Okay, they've got 7 points left, and on the faction card, they have 7 infantry. So they're going to spend their 7. Not going to build the airplane yet. And then they'll put 1 in Rostov. Okay. 1 in Rostov. Probably 1 in Orel, because I'm afraid of him. Even in poor weather, if he gets a good assault on this guy, he could like run up and grab that city. So I have to have a defender of some sort there. So that's 2 of my 7. Let's drift further north. Yes, I was going to put 1 in Reserve. I remember that. And I was going to put 1 up here to the north. Volkhov, or whatever. What is that called? Volkhov. Okay. I still have 3 left. Paranoid Russians. Put them in Moscow. Yes, he's under the fort. Now I have 2 left. And I put 1 in Rostov. Where do you put him? Where's the threat? I think the threat's coming from possibly down this alleyway between the forests if he can push somebody aside. So I'm going to put 1 in Tula, because it can move either north or south. Not really sure where to put the other one. It's either go down here into the south or somewhere up towards the north. I have 2 more infantry that I'll be able to build next turn. I think the north will be slower. If he's got anywhere, if he makes something disappear, he can make runs at cities. So let's put him down here. So we put him in, what the heck is that city? Vorenzi. I don't know how to pronounce that. Anything that ends with an NH just confuses me. So that's the Russian mobilization. There's no diplomacy because we're all at war. They haven't conquered Germany yet, so we're to the end of the turn. Let's pull up the turn track. And, we need the faction card too. Let's see. Soviets are happy because they get tanks markers back. Tanks markers, always good things to get. What else are they getting? Oh, they get some shock armies. Cool. We'll just put them here for now so I can move them up where they belong. They'll go into the mobilization box. And those are ones that would have to come in flipped because they're not straight infantry. They're special guys. Lovely thing about shock armies, in clear weather, they're a +1, and they're also elite, so they're basically +2, like an armored unit, except it's not an armor bonus. And They're just a little bit slower, but they're kind of really heavy-hitting infantry. They also add to in poor weather to... these two have to move down into the mobilization box. Do we have anything else to move around? No. The Italians get back their tanks. The Germans get their tanks. Yay. The British get their tanks. Double yay. And the British get an Ultra. Ta-da. Which will probably be used for strategic warfare. And then it goes to the October turn. As I was saying, though, shock armies are really nice. They get to add +2 in poor weather to assaults, which is a really nice thing to be able to do. So come the bad weather terms, November, December, January, February, I will have several shock armies show up, and even at reduced strength, they can give you +2 for your assaults in poor weather, which the Russians will have for quite a few turns here. So could make a difference. So for sort of a general review, the Western Allies had a chance, managed to botch a die roll, very first one, and chose not to spend the rest of their production points trying to possibly fail miserably against the Africa Army. Basically, the Africa Army is going to have the same situation it had before, where it's going to be fighting for its life, trying to kill the Western Desert Force so that it can get into a position where it'll have a more secure supply line. And of course, the British will be fighting that tooth and nail. I have a feeling we're going to be fighting here for a bit. We just have to see how much the Italians can do to help support me. Okay. Like I said, the Russian will is down to 44 at the end of September of 41. Probably not going to lose much more in the way of willpower for the next few turns. They might lose a city if they're unfortunate, like Bryansk or something, but I don't see them losing too much other than one infantry because he's isolated and at low supply. We will begin with the October weather phase. We will have to roll for the weather again. It's not guaranteed to be any one thing. This has been the second half of the 1941 turn for the Western Allies and the Soviets. Not as spectacular as I was hoping it would be, but sooner or later it will get spectacular as soon as I can figure out how to make the Vassal die roll do exactly what I want. Thanks for watching my videos. This is Dren608. If you feel like it, please leave comments. I would love you to subscribe as well to these videos. And I will see you soon with the next episode. Bye-bye.